Ladies and gentlemen, greetings, and I would like to welcome you to our today's recording. And today I would like to focus on a very important topic, and I would want to use one theorist by the name Anthony Gramsci. Now, I'm sure perhaps a number of you have come across this great thinker who lived in the late 1800s and early 1900s. And so, Anthony Gramsci was a socialist and also a philosophist. And he came up with a very interesting theory that fundamentally relied on hegemony. And hegemony basically means the ruling class, those in control and those in dominance. And so it's quite interesting where this gentleman is concerned. He is an Italian, and during his era, he was against a certain kind of things that were happening in the society, and so this led to his imprisonment, and so he was imprisoned. And during his time in prison, he came up with these writings, and they later on developed and became a major theory. And of course, we'll realize that most of his work was developed from people such as Karl Marx, people who talked more about capitalism, the issue of the kleptocrats, the bourgeoisies, and the proletarian. And so now, here, Anthony Gramsci, his major departure point is he talks about, yes, the ruling class hegemony, people who are in control and people who are in dominance, and in relation to the proletarian, the people who are being ruled by them who are in dominance. And he says that the people who are being ruled were being ruled not just out of coercion necessarily, but out of consent. That it is them who gave that kind of permission for them to be ruled and to be dominated. And so he says this kind of people who propagate and capitalizes on hegemony, they do this by manipulating culture, things such as language, we could to be practical, things such as media, and perhaps things such as to say education, and anything to do with culture, they manipulate it and they make this kind of things to suit strictly their interest, because they are in control and they are in power. And so Anthony Gramsci, he really was bothered with this kind of an idea, and that alone had the capacity to bring about conflict between the proletarian, the class that is being ruled, and the higher class of the bourgeoisies and the kleptocrats who are ruling the other person that are considered as the underclass. And so they capitalizes on them and they ensures that they harness the most out of them, and they make the greatest profit out of them. And it is for this reason people such as Karl Marx, they really had issues with the bourgeoisies and the kleptocrats, and they really wanted the whole matrix to be reversed, so that also those that are under, they will get an opportunity at least to be heard. So now here Anthony says these people are being ruled by consent. Now the question is, what if, I'm just trying to think loud. What if the proletarian refuses to give consent to be ruled or to be controlled by the ruling class. Definitely that brings a clash and a conflict, and I think from such theory, leaders can pick something out of it, and exactly during that moment of crisis, and during that moment when things are not going right, they can figure out exactly on what to do, because to be more practical, you see, the ruling class would want to control, for example, things such as media, so that they are the one who dictates the genre, who dictates the narrative, and who would want to use media to propagate and pass their own interest to the masses. And by so doing that, the masses will be shaped, their thinking pattern, and they want to do that so as to make the say this kind of people to look at things the way they want, and by so doing that they capitalizes on them. And you would want to think in that line, for example, where language or education or any other thing that so that concerns the people in a given society. Now, when the society, for example, refuses to take this kind of consent, when especially they feel that that the kleptocrats and the bourgeoisies, those in the ruling class hegemony, that they are doing this, and they feel, or they have a sense that this is out of coercion, and they resist. Now, usually, this can always birth things such as protests, serious picketing, and serious mass action. Now, if you're a leader and you are in such a place, you need to think serious, and know that you really need to think very fast, and come up with solutions. Saying this, for example, if you look in our society, for example, look in Tunisia right now, the people are protesting against the current regime because of such kind of things that we are talking about. And so the leadership of Tunisia, they really need to think fast and figure out what they need to do in order to change this, because it appears the masses, the citizens, have refused to give that kind of consent that Antonio brings out in his theory. Now, think of countries even such as Kenya. Currently, there is a stalemate where the opposition has threatened to carry out mass action because of the election that took place towards the end of last year. And so, what I would say, it appears a section, or the opposition and the people that are around them, they have refused to give the ruling government or party that kind of consent for them to create a good environment that a country can be governed. So in this case, for the president of Kenya, I would give unsolicited advice that he don't need to ignore this. He do not need to undermine and underrate it, but he needs to really seek for a quick solution so as to bring this crisis under control. Otherwise, this may cause eventually a big challenge, a leadership challenge to him, and subsequently cause the country a great deal, especially where the economy is concerned. So I think, yes, the theory of Anthony Gramsci, hegemony, is a theory that I believe, even in our current, in our today's world, leaders can pick something out of it. And especially what I'm trying to insist in a way of picking something out of it, when the masses refuses to give you that consent for you to continue ruling them, because some may feel that maybe they're being ruled that they've been ruled for long with a particular party, or people are taking advantage of them, or the others may feel perhaps some external foreign powers are manipulating them, and so they may want to resist. And actually, this is also a good example. I just come to my mind. Think of people who they feel maybe the bourgeoisies and the kleptocrats, they, because of their influence and power, they have taken control of business, and they come up with heavy interest. I mean, they sell their commodities very expensive so that they can get the most in terms of interest out of the masses that they are ruling. So the masses can refuse to consent to this, and they can choose to do a boycott now. And actually, I've seen, for example, the opposition in Kenya are really threatening to conduct boycott of some of the product from particular companies that they feel they are indeed conspiring, or the owner, the people owner who owns the share in those companies, they are people who have taken advantage of the citizens, and they are really enriching themselves, and at the advantage, at the expense of the people of the country who are in dire need. And so, in such a case, and this is where we are, if you're a leader and you are in such a position, I would advise you to really take very swift action to ensure that you come up with the best option in terms of salvaging the situation. Otherwise, if it goes out of hand, then you will have no peace and you'll have no country to govern, and this will be unfortunate. So, as leaders, not just even of countries, but as a leader within your own capacity in that particular organization, just ensure that you think about it, and think, and especially when there is no consent from the people you are leading, how are you supposed to respond? And if you can think about this and figure out what you can do as a leader, I believe it can change the game plan, and it can help you to be an effective and efficient leader. The King bless you, and think about that.